Welcome back. And one of the main activities for the Egyptian families, children, and the school trips is to enjoy a trip to the Giza Zoo and to enjoy their time out with the animals. Many campaigns have merged an attempt to improve the park as a public attraction and support it with services and facilities. The Giza Zoo was first established as a botanical garden over an area of about 80 acres. Built by, of course, Khedive Ismail, and it was opened in March 1st, 1891. The zoo is one of the Egyptian most iconic attraction. To know more about the history of this place, its importance, and the main attractions, we are joined by Samaa Tallima, International Communication Representative at the Giza Zoo. Hello and welcome.
Hello,
to
welcome.
Nile.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's first start with the main important attraction in the Giza Zoo.
The main important attraction are the animals for sure, lions and monkeys, chimpanzees, the new giraffes, and the new places like the petting zoo and the zoological museum that have been opened since 2015. Most schools come to the zoological museum, and most of families come and ask about the petting zoo, and the sure ask about the lions, the pelicans, the monkeys, and the bears.
Okay, about the visitors that comes on a daily basis, the approximate number of these visitors.
Now we are during the COVID-19 crisis, so. Before that, I think in days like this and the vacations for the half semester, it's like it can be like 50,000 and sometimes more in feasts and Sham Nassim. So we're now like thousands, but not that 50 and 200,000 like before.
Because of the circumstances of the corona, but apart from that, the number increases.
Yes,
in the normal times.
Yes, and at the beginning of the crisis, there was no visitors. Even when we reopened, and to 4th in August, there was no visitors. They thought that it's still closed, and some people were still scared. But in time, when it's an open area, so anybody can come and enjoy the visit.
Okay, Samaa, tell us about the new animals that are now settled in the zoo.
The recent animals that have been added to our collection is the new giraffes. The 3 giraffes came from South Africa. They are in the to the north gate. We have already Southern. It came in 2012, but we have now 3 giraffes.
Mm-hmm. We always hear about the Giza Zoo that it is different than any other zoos around the world, and of course it's one of the most rare zoos in the Middle East. What's different about this place?
The very unique thing about Giza Zoo is its history. Mm-hmm. Giza Zoo started from before 1891. It was opened in 1891, but the very beginning it was like 1860s. Like this grotto, it's been established in 1867 or even before, because it was a part of the Khedive Sarai gardens. Then they took this area and decided to make it a zoo for visitors. Mm-hmm. So the very unique about this is the history about it. It's a very historical place. We have like 5 or 6 historical places that it's really history, like the grottos. We have the Citadel Grotto that we are sitting in now. There is the suspension bridge that was designed by Eiffel, the very famous Eiffel from Eiffel Tower. We have a Japanese kiosk that was built in 1924 for the Japanese king, and so it's really the history that makes it unique and give it the really unique place around among the zoos.
Of course, there are trips and school trips, and children and families come here on a daily basis. What is the first place that they go to when they enter the zoo?
They ask about the monkeys. Most of kids really ask about the monkeys at the first, then the lions. But the school trips are made to visit the zoological museum and the petting zoo, where the kids can go and touch the animals and feed them and contact them freely, without guards and or without fences. Because they are pet animals, so it's safe for the kids to deal with them and touch them.
And of course, it's open without
Yes.
fences, and so
No,
they can see
no
the
fences, like small fences, but kids can go inside and play with them in their cages. It's like a small cage, a small fence, so kids can go in. It's really a beautiful place for kids, and they really enjoy it.
We used to hear in the news that there are new giraffes that came to the zoo, and after a few days we hear that it died. So, what happened to the animal?
These giraffes supposed to come at May, because the weather, they came from South Africa. South Africa is warm than here in Egypt, so it's supposed to come in May, but due to the COVID-19, they came at October. So October is really cold for them, and they came right before a very cold weather. So this really affect the youngest one.
What are the precautions that are taken for the animals that come from outside the zoo? When you bring animals from outside, what do you do?
It's supposed to be in a quarantine in the airport for 30 days. But with giraffes, and there is no quarantine for giraffes at the airport, so they have to spend their quarantine period here at the zoo. So we give them the vitamins. They check daily. They're really close care and trying to accommodate the weather. But the giraffe in an open area. There's no closed area for giraffes. So that's what happened to this giraffe.
There's also an important place in the zoo, which is the Museum for Mummified Animals. Tell us more about this museum.
This museum started back in 1914 when Sir Flower, the one who the director of the zoo then, decided to establish this place to educate the visitor about the animals more scientifically. It was open to the public in 1920, and it was developed twice, I think, till it was reopened in 2015. It contains lots of mummified animals. It's 3 floors of mammals, reptiles, and birds of all the orders and families of the animals in the animal kingdom.
Now it is open for public, or it's closed?
Yes, it is open since 2015. It's open to the public.
What are the main animals that in this museum, and the important, of course, the most important of them, and how many?
How many? This is a very big number. I don't know it for sure. It's exceed the 3,000 specimen. In the beginning of the museum, there is a hall that contains all the skeletons of the biggest animals. Like there is a whale skeleton, an elephant, a giraffe skeleton, a rhino, and hippo. There is also the mummified Aziza. Aziza is our last white female rhino. She lived here at Giza Zoo, and she passed away in 2018. And the mummified, the Aziza mummified is in the whole of the zoological museum.
Is there cooperation between the Giza Zoo and other zoos around the world?
Yes. In 2018, Dr. Mona Sadeh, one of the veterinarian and the very good directors of the zoo, decided to establish a section to communicate with the world zoos, to communicate with the Association for Zoos and Aquarium in Africa and Asia and the world, of course. So this is the section that I am head of now. It's responsible for communicate with all the zoos around the world, and through the regional zoo, the regional association that we are members in. We are member at the organization for the African Association for Zoos and Aquarium since 2018, and this is how we get the latest standards for the animals, all the new things, the training courses, and of course there was training courses here in Egypt, in Giza Zoo, from all over the world, Germany, US, South Africa. And of course some from our staff traveled to South Africa and to Europe to have some training courses.
So are you planning to add new sections in the zoo?
The zoo is in the middle of the city, so adding places from outside it's very difficult. But establishing new things in the zoo, like the betting zoo that was established 2018, then reopened in 2020, last year, is possible. Developing places, like developing the historical places. We have a major project now to develop all the historical places. It will start with the Tea Island to be developed for to hold ceremonies, festivals, photo sessions, and all the historical places like the grottos and the suspension bridge and the Japanese kiosk, of course.
You personally definitely have some ideas that it is out of the box and you want to see it in the zoo. Do you have any of these ideas?
It's not very out of the box. It's really for the animals. Most of the investment in projects come to increase the income for the zoo. So most of them are for the places that it's really here, like the historical places. But I really dream about a project for the animals. We already starting and we are planning to enhance the welfare of the animals, like adding some spaces to their cages, like we've done in the two giraffe enclosures. They were been enlarged. We added like there was two enclosures. Now they are one with bigger spaces. And there's the cage for capuchin monkey beside the betting zoo. There was a dead tree, and we used the trunk to make it like a center for a very big cage. So we are really planning for enhance the welfare of the animals.
The zoos that, of course, the international zoos, we see there are shows for animals. Sea lion shows, crocodile shows, elephant shows. So are you planning to put these shows here in the near future in the zoo?
There is some projects that was put on the table about the shows for birds of prey and stuff that is not going to it's not bad for the animal, for the health of the animal and the welfare of the animal. There is some shows with the hippo shows. It's not, there's no interact with the keeper or people. It's just the glass that you can see the hippo throw. We have here the sea lion shows. The sea lions really love their shows, and it's really good for their health and welfare. They like to play, so when the keeper is playing with them, this is a good thing for their welfare. So we have some, and we are planning to add some in the future.
Mrs. Samaa Tallima, an international communication representative at the Giza Zoo, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And now we're moving to a quick break, so please stay tuned.